Now, it's important, I think, given that I'm a foreigner, that I don't come along here and tell you how you should vote. It's not for me to tell you how you should vote. No, I'm very neutral on this European Union question. Well, look, it's very simple. If you think that most of the laws of your land should be proposed by an unelected bunch of old men based in the European Commission, then you're welcome to it. Vote yes, by all means. But if you vote no, that will have, I hope and believe, some real consequences. You see, it should have had consequences back in 2005. It should have done. Now, I remember that referendum very, very well. I was in Paris on the night of the French referendum when they said no to the European Constitution. And I was in Brussels on the night that you voted no to the EU Constitution. In fact, I was in the members' bar of the European Parliament when the vote came through with about 80 or 90 Eurosceptic MEPs and staff that worked in the Parliament. And we waited for the result, and up it came. 61% had said no. And I thought, well, it's simple. The French have killed the Constitution. The Dutch have now buried the Constitution. We have actually struck a blow against the centralisation of Europe, against the direction of this whole project. For about 10 minutes, as the corks popped out of the bottles, I actually thought we changed the whole direction of this project. And I remember being very happy. And at that moment, 10 minutes on, a German socialist MEP called Joe Leinen, and Joe Leinen had been one of the co-authors of that constitution, and Joe Leinen was walking down past us, heading off, I guess, to do a press interview. And I walked over to him, as modestly as I could in the circumstances, and said, would you like to share a glass of champagne with us to celebrate this wonderful result that we'd had in the Netherlands tonight? And his eyes looked straight through me. And he said, and I've never forgotten it, and I never will, he said, you may have your little victory party tonight. We have 50 different ways to win. And it just, everything just drained out of me. That brief 10 minutes of elation, of thinking we changed this whole thing, drained out of me. And what did they do? Within a few weeks, they'd rebrand. Oh, they told us they'd get rid of the flag and the anthem. Remember? Fancy what? They were lying, weren't they? They were lying. The flag's still there, and the anthem's still there. They play that wretched anthem in the European Parliament, and they get upset when I turn my back on them. They said they'd do that, they didn't. They rebranded it as the Lisbon Treaty, and the former Italian Prime Minister D'Amato boasted. He said the great thing about calling it the Lisbon Treaty and not the Constitution is we won't need to have referendums. How about that? How is that for sheer political cynicism? Well, of course, one country did have to have a referendum because it's in their constitution. And the Irish had a referendum, and guess how they voted? They voted no and were forced to vote again. And they'd done the same 15 years earlier over the Treaty of Nice, and indeed we'd seen the Danes back in 1992 rejecting the Maastricht Treaty and being told by the then German Chancellor that as a little country they'd got it wrong and they would have to vote again. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the real story of this European project. It is an idea that has been dreamed up by the elites. It is an idea that is backed by big banks, big business, and big politics. It is an unholy trinity who have decided how we should live our lives in the future. And the only way we are going to beat them is to stand up and revolt against the establishment and defeat them in referendum after referendum.